Hey guys, how are you doing? Cryptoinsightuk here, bringing you back a quick crypto market update. I'm going to be looking at Bitcoin, XRP, and the DXY, and what this potentially means for crypto going forwards. We're going to just talk about Bitcoin on the daily to start with, and these lines, the vertical lines I've got marked for you on the chart here. The grey lines are the announcement of CPI since the start of the year, and the red lines are FOMC meetings since the start of the year and what's come of FOMC meetings. So if they're red, that means that the Federal Reserve has decided to hike interest rates after that, so essentially cut liquidity. And if they're green, that means they've decided to pause because we haven't seen a reversal yet, just pauses so far. So as we can see, when CPIs come out, it's been a bit of a mix and match as to whether it's been bullish or bearish for the market. In some scenarios, it's been bullish and a continuation of the trend, like here, here, and here. And in some scenarios, it's been more bearish, like here and here, and well, maybe not here, but that you could be saying that's bottoming out there for a next push up. The FOMC, on the other hand, has been more bearish. Every time we've seen the FOMC meeting and they've come out and said, oh, we're going to hike rates, boom, we've come down. Hike rates, we've consolidated. Hike rates, boom, we've come down. And then pause rates, boom, we've go up. So is that going to happen again when we've got the next meeting on the 24th, 25th of July? Obviously, only time will tell, but that's what we're keeping our eye out for. Bitcoin's been in this long consolidation phase. We broke up towards the 30,000 range, and we've sort of chopped in this range for a little while now. I personally think the longer we hold this range as support, the more likely it is that we break on again to the upside rather than coming down to correct like we could potentially come down to 28,500, or maybe even in this range, just low 29,000s. I think the longer we spend in this range, the more likely we are to see upside move from Bitcoin. With CPI coming out at 3%, 0.1% lower than forecasted, is this going to give the Fed another leg to be able to say we're not going to raise rates again this month, being in July? We know that they have been looking to raise another 50 basis points before the end of the year, or that's been the narrative so far. And as we paused last month, we had a rally. So if we pause again in a week's time, is that what's going to spur the market on to go on another rally? Or will we push out of this range? Will it be positive news and push us on further? Or will it have no effect? Obviously, time will tell. We are expected to see a little bit of a bounce in inflation next month. So maybe the FOMC after that, or the CPI print after that, where inflation is potentially a little bit higher than it is this month, would be when they might actually introduce another 25 basis point hike, or maybe 50 altogether. So would we be rallying for a month or so, coming up to this sort of range in here, looking for some more resistance here for Bitcoin, maybe in this 39 to 40k region, then be seeing a bit of an interest rate hike because of higher CPI. They might then say, oh, actually, we've not tamed CPI as we wanted to. Then we come back for a bit of a correction before pushing on forwards. I personally believe, and I've said a few times, I think Bitcoin's going to hit all-time highs this year. And I've got some more confluence for that, which I'm going to go into in a second when we look at the DXY, which I've actually been bang on with the whole time I've been writing the newsletter. But just before that, I want to jump into XRP. So looking at XRP specifically, I've been talking about XRP for a while. I'm a big XRP holder. And it's a really hard asset to hold because it just accumulates and consolidates for long periods of time. In this case, like 5 years, and then it has really short and sharp moves. If we look on the monthly time frame here, from 2014, what we can see XRP basically did between 2014 and 2017, we held a low that we set in November of 2015. We never set a further low, but we did sort of hover just above it at some points, push out, not be able to break a range, and then eventually, within the 3-month period, have a huge blow up in value, which took us up, even if you just go from the bodies of the candles, it took us up 44x or 4,400%. Or if you go wick to wick on this specific move, it took us up 94x, so 9,400% in the space of 3 months. It shows you how explosive these moves can be. And if you look at it on the weekly, you can also see something similar. The majority of the moves happening in just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the weeks within those 3 months. And then we have a further consolidation for a further push up. And then the same sort of pattern happens again for XRP. We just come down and we distribute or accumulate, whichever one you want to think that this might be. It will be distribute if we start to plummet down, or accumulate as if we start to push up out of this zone, which is what I think will happen. And then we start to get this explosive move out again here in November of 2020. We start to push with the rest of the market. Boom, an anomaly or black swan happens. The SEC case comes in and brings it down. And then we do continue to try and break the highs, don't break the high of January 2018 and come back down into our bear market as we've been in for quite some time now, as all of you guys know in the community, and consolidate sideways for XRP before hopefully reaching that breakout again. If we look at some key resistance levels that I'm looking to break here for XRP, as I talked about in Digital Perspective Show, 55 cent is the one that I'm looking for us to start really being able to attack some higher price targets. Then above that, we've got 76, 77 cent, and then finally, obviously, the all-time highs, with obviously the previous swing high back in March of or April of 2021 at about $1.70, $1.80 in and around that region. But we're holding an ascending trend line here, and we've ducked down from the 55 cent, come into the middle of the range. This is the sort of area where I could really see us blasting off. You often see in patterns like this, when we're getting closer and closer and closer to that resistance level and we're not taking big bounces away from it anymore, it's almost like the sellers at that level are starting to dry up and the buyers are going to accumulate the strength to push through eventually. We saw similar things happen with the price action back here. It really could not break this level at 0.009 cent. It took years to break it. We touched it, we wicked just above it, we couldn't get through. As soon as we broke through, we saw huge green candles, even towards the all-time high, smashed straight through the high, came down, consolidated on top of the high, and then went to push on for a huge 2 more waves after that. So could we see something similar this time when we get this break? Could we see some big green candles breaking above the all-time high, coming back, testing on top of that as support, and blasting off again? I personally think there's high potential for this to happen. It's up to you guys whether you think that's going to happen as well. Remember, we're just using the past to show us what's going to happen in the future. So a final area to keep your eye on with XRP are the indicators. Now this is on the monthly time frame. We were above the RSI in a positive sense. We came back, we literally touched it, and then we blasted off in the 2017 cycle. Notice how we spent a lot of time in the overbought area on the RSI. That's when we had the majority of our parabolic moves. And almost the same back in 2021 when we reached the overbought area. It seems to be the same with all crypto, that's when they really start to push off. Next time after that we crossed bullish on the RSI, it had marked the bottom and we were starting our upwards trend. Maybe without the SEC we could have blasted off. You could maybe say that the SEC have blocked this bull run for us. It may be the opposite catalyst for XRP this bull run. That's what we're hoping for and we're thinking about in the community. But we've not got any data to back this up because we haven't seen any crypto, especially of the size of XRP, be sued by the SEC. So it's all up in the air for now. We have had the bullish cross on the RSI. That would mark the bottom was in, as it did here and as it did back here for XRP itself. And then if we look at the MACD itself on the monthly, we had the bullish cross and that marked the bottom was in. In fact, it marked a parabolic move for XRP. As soon as we got the bullish cross, boom, off we went. If we look here. And then the second time we got that, we got the bullish cross, off we went, blocked by the SEC. Price action did not follow like it did in the past. It did still actually continue for quite a big push to the upside if we look from where the MACD crossed, which was right about here, boom, to the top. We still pushed a 6x or 6.7x, so 670%. The MACD is literally lipping on crossing bullish right now. If we get this bullish cross, we really should be seeing a move to the upside. That's what all the TA is telling us. One final thing that I did want to touch on was the DXY. It's getting a lot of coverage in the crypto space right now. I've been calling the DXY pretty bang on for a long while. We started really covering it in November of 2022, but we did cover it a few weeks before this as well, a few times. But what I was talking about in November of 22 pretty much has come true. I said after forming 3 lower highs and 2 lower lows with a break of the low that the top was definitely in for the DXY. I was looking for a key level of support between 103 and 4. That was where I thought the next challenge for the DXY would be. And then let's have a look on the next newsletter, which I published about 6 weeks later. We came down to about that 103 area. We started to find some support. This was into the start of January. We started to have a bit of a bounce and everyone said that the DXY was bouncing to continue higher. I said that actually I thought that 105.4 would be the resistance and I thought it would continue downwards, which is actually what happened. We got stuck under the moving average and continued down. And at that time I said, I think we would find significant support around the 99 to the 100 range for the DXY. And let's look what happened. We then get to where we are right now. bouncing off the 100 area a few times in the DXY. This grey line is like marked as the 100 area. I'm going to go into the chart in a second. And what did I say? Famous macro. This was published on in June, like last month. This is our week 46. Famous macro investors are split on the dollar. Many feel it will gain strength in the short term as debts are due to be paid in dollars and liquidity isn't good, a reason why they need to print. Banks have new regulations to work with and more companies do not want to part with dollars, hence the lack of liquidity. However, from a pure technical standpoint, I really feel the DXY, a chart that reflects dollar strength, is coming down. Right now we're at a pivotal point. And obviously I've marked out here a descending wedge and my breakdown target. And I've said on the weekly time frame, we're battling on the underside of the 20 MA, which is where we were exactly right in there. We're potentially forming a higher high if this holds or breaks. What I was saying is if we break this 20 MA here, I would expect us to go and form a higher high, and then that means a reversal could be in. However, if this fails, it will show significant lack of strength, and I would expect us to break down from this level. Meaning that if it didn't break this 20 MA, I actually think we'll continue down because it showed me that we are losing strength and we're in the middle of the wedge. As I was saying earlier with XRP, you're in the middle of the wedge and you come down for a significant push one way or the other. So it's all out in the DXY right now. If we lose the initial grey line, I feel we'll work our way down to the grey line below. Could this spell an explosion for crypto? We've lost that initial grey line now. We're literally breaking down as we speak. We've really broken through this with some speed. Could we be working our way down to that 89.69 region for the DXY? The DXY isn't a specific catalyst for crypto. However, a key component for a crypto rally has been when the DXY has been losing strength. We saw that in the 2017 cycle here, and we saw that in the 2020-21 cycle. I did say that I thought this would happen, and I also tweeted about it again this week with the dollar potentially losing strength against the Chinese yuan and the Japanese yen. I tweeted about it on the 11th of July following Weston Nakamura's piece with Michael Howe discussing potentially why Janet Yellen is in China and what is happening with Chinese liquidity right now. Go and check their video out if you want to have more of an understanding of that, but it backs up the TA behind what I thought was happening with the DXY. Now guys, all we need to do is sit back and watch. Let's hope crypto starts to break out here. Always be careful with any leverage positions. I'm not saying you should go balls deep into crypto right now. I'm just saying things are set up for a crypto run. A lot of people don't necessarily think it's going to happen either, which makes me even more bullish. And I'm sticking with my guns. I think that we are going to see an all-time high for Bitcoin in 2023. Hope you enjoyed the update, guys. If you've got any questions, please leave them below. Peace up, A-Town down, as Cryptoinsightuk would say.